19, you were so pretty. Talking to angels just wasn't in me. But we shared our secrets, our strengths and our weakness. I didn't know hurt so deep till you said we couldn't be. When I was 16, I had you to hold me, dancing in darkness. Oh, what you told me. For just a few seconds, I was in heaven. How old do we have to be till we can be happy? I want you, and I want you tonight, and I love you for the rest of my life, and I can't wait for the day to arrive. We all wanna be younger, but I wish we were older. I wish we were older. Already 19, no use in hiding. You tell me you love me, raising my heartbeat. But your mind's not made up. What are you afraid of? It's hard to be waiting. Is this how it has to be? I want you, and I want you tonight, and I love you for the rest of my life, and I can't wait for the day to arrive. We all wanna be younger, but I wish we were older. I wish we were older. How I wish that we were older. How I wish that we were older. How I wish that we were older. We all wanna be younger, but I wish we were older. I want you, and I want you tonight, and I love you for the rest of my life, and I can't wait for the day to arrive. We all wanna be younger, but I wish we were older. I wish we were older. We all wanna be younger, but I wish we were older.
Do you see it's hard when there's nothing to do? People drown in the dark, so I'm running to you.
Let's be who we are as we struggle with truth. Connect with the land and overcome as
This life is hard, teach us the way you. Let's see the stars.
not to watch it. We live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing only come on. Hear our voices, hear the sound. We don't watch it, we love our land,
No more fighting, no more drinking. There's people dying There's people missing, there's people crying. Use our tradition. Inutuhon, the medicine is giving.
I'm proud to be Inu. I'll show you brave in actions. So many distractions, I won't fade to blackness. My goal in life is that I'll go and fight for my dreams. I'll hold them tight.
I'm the man, the N'we. This life is hard. Teach you guys the way you. Let's see the stars.
Natawashish, we live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing Inunika. Hear our voices, hear the sound. We love our land, Mishwe meneni hatao, natan shiwanot. Mishwe suatita magte munapanas.
We lost so many people, that's why we numb the pain. But the future is bright and there will come a day. So much racism, I want to run away. But this is my home, my land, I love this place. On this peaceful land, we will hunt for food. If you put your mind to it, there is tons to do. Trust the youth, are proud to be Inu. We love this land, we sing loud cause we need you.
The N'we. This life is hard. Teach you guys the way you. Let's see the stars.
Natawashish, we live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing Inunika. Hear our voices, hear the sound. We love our land,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes. Welcome everybody today. That was Mushwa Wasich, courtesy of the Innu youth of Natuashish in Northern Labrador and Newfoundland. Major shout out to the youth out there. For the people that are just joining us right now, that was an original song created by the Innu youth out of Natuashish, Mushwa Innu First Nation. The song focuses on a message of cultural and community love while overcoming the hard conditions and sad realities of addiction, trauma, and violence. They are repping for the land. Shout out to the youth that put that song together. Gwen, Sam, Cavell, Jersey, Garfield, Tyrese, and Cole. I'm super happy that shout out to everyone that's joining us here today for our, I think this is our 7th or 8th, I think maybe 7th. Yeah, 7th edition of the Windcarriers show. I'm your host, David Hodges, co-executive director here at N'we Jinan non-for-profit organization. If you're joining us wherever you are, if you're on the N'we Jinan Facebook Live, shout out to you. If you're also on my personal pages, we do stream this live as well, but I'm not able to get into your comments. If you are on my page and want to join the N'we Jinan live page to get some of your comments live here in the feed, feel free to make sure that you check out the N'we Jinan page for that. We have some people tuning in here from Ottawa. Shout out to Diane. We also have the EU Wishti in the house here, courtesy of the N'we Jinan Arts Concentration Program. Shout out to the Cree School Board and all of our Cree entities that are working with us. And shout out to all the Cree youth that are watching as well. We're going to be talking a little bit about N'we Jinan. We do have a N'we Jinan alumni that's on the show today, so we're going to be speaking a little bit about that soon. But for our people at home that are just tuning in, that are
are kind of like wondering, what is N'we Jinan? Well, N'we Jinan is a non-for-profit organization, but its main objective being weaving creative networks of support for Indigenous youth. How do we create those networks of support? Well, we offer several customizable artistic programs that seek to collaborate with Indigenous communities and schools to fulfill the immediate need for a spark or change of narrative through the arts. But then we also really look at how we can build these sustainable programs locally, build out strategies with partners and collaborators, and have this thing like grow from the community, right? We're just an organization that want to just build bridges and build and create links and connections to ultimately weave that network of support for the young Indigenous youth, our leaders of today and tomorrow. So but we offer various different programs, but the one of our programs is called the N'we Jinan Festival and Youth Conference. And so essentially this year, essentially the N'we Jinan Festival and Youth Conference is our celebratory event where all of our programs culminate to a 1-week massive celebration. We host it in a different city every year, and all of our youth get to come, all of our artists that work with our organization get to come, and all of our stakeholders. And we just have 1 week of showcases, workshops, keynote speakers. But this year, unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to cancel our festival and postpone it till next year. This is where Windcarriers Challenge Show is started. So for people that are just tuning in for the first time, the Windcarriers Challenge Show is essentially what is it actually? Yeah, it's a social media campaign where we basically go on our live Facebook and we interview incredible youth that have worked with our programs. And we also bring on our artists to kind of talk about their perspectives of working with our programs, working with youth, and like their artist practice. And we do this every single week on Monday, 4 p.m. Standard Time. But we also wanted to take it a little further to engage our youth at home who are like, during this time of social distancing. We know that things are opening up a bit, but we also want to give, we're an organization that we're celebrating in the arts. And so we also give out weekly artistic challenges and challenge you, the audience at home, to create artworks, to submit them every single week to win prizes. And so we're super excited to be doing that. We're hosting this on our Facebook Live, but it's also streaming on our YouTube platform. And we do a lot of our promotion on our Instagram page, where you, the audience at home, can also interact with hold on, my cat's trying to get up here. Hold on. Yeah, I thought I was gonna get him locked up in a room, but he's trying to get up. You might get to see my cat. But yeah, so Windcarrier, we essentially, if you are interested in engaging with the Windcarriers Challenge, you could check it out on our Facebook pages or Instagram pages, but also check out the hashtag Windcarriers Challenge, and you can kind of see all the work that's been done, all of the submissions that have been done up until now. I want to kind of get into some of our sponsors real quick, because without our sponsors, we would not be able to do this thing. So I'm just getting a quick banner up here. So these are our sponsors right now. So this social media campaign is in partnership with the Chamindy Foundation. The Chamindy Foundation is a private family foundation based in Montreal, founded in 2015 with a vision of improving the lives of the younger generation so that they may have the opportunity of a brighter future. Shout out to everyone at the Chamindy Foundation. They've also helped fund this whole campaign and are keeping us afloat and also helping us keeping the engagement going. So we're happy about that. We also have Taking It Global, one of our core sponsors. Taking It Global is one of the world's leading networks of young people learning about, engaging with, and working towards tackling global challenges. They have a lot of incredible programs, such as the Rising Youth Micro Grant Fund, which is about supporting youth in action and social innovation. They also have this grant called Connected North, which is essentially about facilitating connected learning in the North and giving young leaders an opportunity to apply for grants to actually support their leadership initiatives. So I would definitely suggest checking that out. But one of our main relationships with Taking It Global in this campaign is the Create to Learn campaign, which we're going to be dropping a quick link right now in our comment box. But essentially, Create to Learn is it's about fostering creativity and digital skills, but it's an amazing app that you can download for free using on your Mac devices. But essentially what it is supporting Indigenous youth to create content, tell stories about their communities, develop skills, and share opportunities with others. So essentially there's lots of different Indigenous content creators that are sharing their skills through workshops, and you could at home could actually download the app and and work with those workshops, right? And what's really cool right now, if you're also an Indigenous content creator, taking it global, and Imaginative Film, the film festival Imaginative, I've partnered up together to also put out another job call out. So there's a round 2 right now for Create to Learn. So if you are an Indigenous content creator and you're looking to share some of your skills and also make a little money from that as well, definitely check out the link here that we're dropping for the Instagram page and get more information on that. So shout out to Taking It Global and the Create to Learn initiative. And then our last, but not least, partner is InPath, which is essentially our systems change organization under the N'we Jinan umbrella that trains and supports our incredible roster of professional artists working with us in the communities that we are running our artistic programming. And we're just super excited to actually be able, this is actually our roster right now for this year's school programming. And we're just we're just super grateful that we're able to bring on our artists to talk about their processes and share their artistic skills with the audience at home. But we also have 2 InPath artists on the show today, which is super, super awesome. We have Angel Baribeau, who's actually was one of our youth that we connected with through our artistic programs, through the N'we Jinan program, through the Mukjam Arts program, which we're going to talk about today. But they've kind of gone on and actually graduated high school and throughout the years ended up connecting with InPath and is officially an artist that works with our organization that is currently working in residency programs as well. So we're super excited to bring Angel on to talk about their experiences. And then we also have Spin El Poeta, who's an incredible spoken word artist doing lots of amazing artwork facilitations in and out of the GTA area, but also doing lots of touring all over Canada and sharing that good vibes and doing some serious work through slam poetry. So we're going to get him on the show. I'm really excited about that. So if there's some people dropping some comments, anyone got some comments for me? Well, we have Alex from Calgary. That's it. We're here. We also have Franklin. Shout out to Franklin from Chisasibi, Creed Nation. You sound enthusiastic, bro. Well, I'm trying to keep I'm trying to keep things moving, my bro. Trying to keep things light and moving. Lots of stuff happening. Right? But at the same time, just trying to do this for the audience, for the people at home. We're going to get a little bit into last week's submissions every week, as I was alluding to before, I was mentioning before, every week we do a submissions. Last week we had Cindy Paul on the show who gave out the artistic challenge to create lyrics inspired by nature. We had a bunch of submissions, which we're super grateful for. We put those up on our Facebook and Instagram stories. So if you are interested in checking those out, feel free to go check them out on there. But we could only have one winner. Every week we basically announce one winner. And also it's important to note that it's not about the quality. The quality of work is incredible, especially with all the submissions that we're getting. So we're super grateful for that. But the winner is usually chose out of complete randomness. We just do a random draw before the show, and then we just give out the prize. And so for this week, the prize goes to Rudy Dunsford. So Rudy Dunsford, you are the winner for this week's challenge. So congratulations to you, buddy. We're going to be getting in touch with you. And what is Rudy win? I'm just trying to remember. Oh yeah, $100 gift card to any place of your choice. A brand new pair of shoes at Vans. Vans is also a silent partner in this though, but shout out to Vans and all that they do in supporting our initiatives. So you get a new pair of shoes at Vans and also a N'we Jinan prize pack, tons of N'we Jinan gear. So shout out to Rudy. Thank you so much for sharing your work, and shout out to everybody else that had continued to submit amazing artwork. We really appreciate that. So that's super, super awesome. For anyone out there that's interested in trying to submit artwork, well, essentially we're going to be giving another challenge out this week. And the way that you submit is you post it onto your Facebook or your Instagram, and you either tag the N'we Jinan Arts or N'we Jinan page with the hashtag Windcarriers Challenge to submit your art, or you can send us a direct message as well. And that is essentially counts as a submission. Every submission that you do enter, though, get this, we are cumulatively doing this every single week for 17 weeks. So if you do the challenge 17 weeks in a row, on our last week, we are drawing for the grand prize of a brand new MacBook Pro. We still got that. We still have it, and we're going to be giving that out on the last week. But every submission that you do every week actually counts for one submission towards that MacBook Pro. So if you've submitted 10 different submissions, you literally have 10 chances of winning that grand prize. So that's just a little reminder to the people that, are submitting but might be losing, or some people are like considering about submitting that want to get more involved. Make sure that you just understand that little bit. Is there some comments here? Let's see. We got Jojo Lynn in the house. Shout out to Jojo. He's always checking us in. Hashtag tag queen. Appreciate that. We got Elling Lien. Hey, from Newfoundland. Shout out to our people out from Newfoundland. Definitely appreciate that. We got Harmony, says she wants to see my cat. I think I was pretty straightforward with my hand in his face. Koa. Shout out to my cat, Koa. But yeah, we just adopted him, and he doesn't know. He's just too affectionate, too crazy, and I can't have him in the room while I'm doing the show. But maybe he'll come and make an appearance. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, so let's move the show on here, because we got some things that we need to do here. You know what I mean? But if you want, feel free to drop more comments and questions for our guests, because yeah, we always appreciate the commentary coming from home. If you do want to get more into the comment box, though, you have to check the show out from the Facebook, the N'we Jinan Facebook page. That's where our official live is actually coming through. And so, yeah, man. So what are we going to do now? So we're going to bring on our first guest. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to be able to bring Angel on the show. I've known Angel for, I don't know, like 6 years, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask them to see the exact amount. But they're super, super talented. I'm going to get into the official. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get this ticker out of here. There we go. That thing was really distracting me. And so we got Angel Baribeau, who's going to be coming on the show as our first guest. But before we bring them on, and before I do the big hoopla intro, I'm going to play a little excerpt of their current single that is rotating everywhere right now, all across the nations, called Love Is Up the River. Hope you guys enjoy it.
We're running out of these nights, wasting our time, and I can't help but doubt that we have long. Let's get out of this place. Love is up the river, and I wish I was with you, dancing in the dark to the beat of you. And I can't help but think that this is wrong. Where are we? Never quite there. This road is unfair, and I can't help but talk that we belong. Let's get out of this place. Love is up the river, and I wish I was with you, dancing in the dark to the beat of her heart. I cannot remember when I found heaven in her eyes, but if it takes forever, I'll wait for heaven one more time.
All right, that's Love Is Up the River by Angel Baribeau. Super excited to bring her up here. Bring them up here. My bad for that. I'm just like dealing with so much technological issues here. It's just driving me absolutely crazy. But I'm going to bring the picture back up. So Angel Baribeau is a singer-songwriter and multidisciplinary artist from the Cree Nation of Mysticity, now residing in Montreal. They use many mediums such as music, poetry, body art, and recycled art to convey their hopes, fears, and realities that serve as forms of messaging and education around the responsibilities of being an Indigenous person in today's political climate. With strong storytelling abilities, this young artist is a rising star looking to make their mark and hopes to inspire their peers. They have been with our organization since volume 1, since 2015, and have worked with all of our programs. Super excited to be bringing them onto the show. Without further ado, everyone give it up for Angel Baribeau.
Yeah, 2014, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2014. I don't know. There's too many things going on in my brain right now, and I'm like, I'm trying my best.
I got you.
How are you feeling, Angel, today?
I'm feeling very, very excited to be on Windcarriers Challenge.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a little conversation about you and about, like, you know, where you're from and like all the things that you've been through, and a lot about your artistic practice, which I'm super excited about. But for the viewer at homes that aren't really aware of who you are and what you do, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So, like David said, I'm from Mississippi, Quebec, which is the Cree Nation. Cree Nation of Mississippi. Oh my goodness, James Bay Cree Nation. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up there for the beginning of my life, and then I moved around a lot to like Chesapeake, Montreal, all of which, like, in that period of time, I was just fostering my love of music by constantly traveling and being in car rides where we just listen to music for hours on end. And essentially what happened was one year when I decided to move back to Mississippi after having been gone for about 4 years, I came across I didn't come across. Essentially what happened was a good friend of mine, Christina, she was a youth fusion worker in my school in VMS, Voyager Memorial School. And she heard that there was a workshop for songwriting or something, that there's something to do with music, essentially. And so she took me by the hand and forced me to be in the room because she knew that I was going to run away. She forced me to be in this room with David, and not in a negative way, in a very good way. She forced me to be in this room where I like made the connection of me and David, and I got to work and show off my skills as a songwriter and also sing for like myself for the first time, which was really awesome. And then since then I've just been, I took like a hiatus for a little while. And now I'm back at it, trying to make as much music as I can. And now with my latest, well, that's from like 2014, but this year I'm going to launch my next project, my solo project, which is an EP titled "To Those I Loved."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm really excited about that. That's where I'm at.
That's amazing. Yeah, and even like going all the way back then, it feels like it's so long ago, but it still feels like yesterday at the same time, you know? And just I remember connecting with you, and that's when N'we Jinan essentially started. It was just starting out, and like even connecting with you. You were like the first youth that I really like had like a great chemistry with, and we like as soon as I heard you speak from the back of the room, I was like, I'm like, you gotta get to the front here, and we need to start talking, because you just had that old spirit kind of to you right from 13 years old, you know what I mean? And but also kind of like fast forwarding a bit from that time, because that was when we did the N'we Jinan Volume 1 compilation. That's where all the compilations were really birthed out of the first album that was created in the Cree Nation in collaboration with the Cree Nation Youth Council. But following that though came the excitement of, this actually just completely blocks us out, but the Mukjam Arts Concentration Program, which was essentially commissioned by the Cree School Board. It's a Cree School Board owned program that was commissioned back then in 2015 as an arts concentration program to bring artists to work and mentor, like, you know, in the classroom though. So it is an actual like curriculum based program that serves like its youth, the students of the Cree Nation schools. And you were actually one of our first students as well in our pilot year, which was super cool. And I kind of want to go back to that time of the Mukjam Arts Concentration Program. And I just showed it up here just so that people know and that are kind of like aware of like the program. This is this year's poster with all of the different artists that have worked in the Cree Nation schools, Cree Nation, James Bay, Northern Quebec region. And but I want to play a real quick video here to really bring us back, because this is a young Angel Baribeau, unaware of the journey that was ahead. This was before really like getting immersed into the programs, really immersing yourself and starting to explore your artistic voice. And I bet you haven't even watched this video in a while. So I'm just going to play it real quick and then we'll get your reaction.
Oh, the summertime is coming,
and the trees are sweetly blooming, where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together, for the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go?
Beginnings, humble beginnings. So let's take it back there. This is before the Mukjam really was like became it what it is today. It was very like in its like pilot stages, but also you as an artist. This is like talking like 5-6 years ago. Young Angel Baribeau, unaware of the journey ahead. Talk to us a little bit about like you being a youth in the Cree Nation mysticity and all this stuff. Like where were you at that time?
Oh, watching that video, like straight up, just like ooh, that like transported me into like my past, which makes sense because it's from the past. But I just like I'm thinking about the person that's in that video who like didn't like sure I was out during that time, but I didn't fully accept who I was or even like what it is that I identify as. And even as an artist, especially as an artist, that was the period of time where I was going through a lot of like mental health issues. I wasn't 100% secure in my own identity. And what was really dope was that having Mukjam at the time allowed me to like focus on things that were not focus on things that were outside of my control, but focus on things that I could develop and harness and foster in myself, like arts. One of the things that I really appreciate about Mukjam is the fact that there was no wrong way to make art. And that being like, for example, my body arts, what I really love doing is drawing or painting like skin. And in every other classroom I'd ever had, I've been told not to, like, you don't draw on yourself, you don't paint yourself. But in Mukjam, they allowed me to do that. And now it's one of my favorite mediums. Body art is now my favorite mediums. And what I really appreciate is when you're in Mukjam, you have access to all these artists you probably never in your life would have accessed otherwise. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about that is they teach you whatever they know, and they try their best to like transfer their knowledge to your little brain. And I think what's wonderful is like the result of that. So like for Mukjam students, when they come out of Mukjam class, they come out as like multifaceted, multidisciplinary artists. Like they come out with just all these skills because in Mukjam, you just get fed all these like beautiful brain things that have only to do with art. And mm-hmm. I really appreciate that about my journey, is that like I have all these skills for art now that Mukjam gave to me. And all artists.
Definitely. And ask it kind of like giving you a more of a challenging question based on all the things that you said, like being like, you know, like a young, like a student in the school, like what were some of the barriers that you were experiencing, like in the school, like going to high school? Like what were some things that you felt like were huge challenges for you at that time of like going through high school?
I think pre Mukjam, I was kind of pissed off over the fact that I shouldn't say pissed off. I just noticed a lot that there were like all the athletes were being presented a lot of opportunities, especially with like hockey players and things like that in my school. And I thought that was like, it's wonderful for them. Of course, that's wonderful that like youth can like have that outlet and that it leads to something. But what I wanted to see was something for people like me, people who love art, people who just love creation and creativity. And what was the question again? I just got derailed.
No, just about the barriers that you were facing, like in high school, right? Like generally speaking.
Yeah. So there was that. There was also like the fact that I was moving around a lot. I had moved around a lot in my childhood, not my childhood, but like my like pre-pubescent period of life. And that meant that like I didn't always have like solid foundations for myself, I felt. But being in Mississippi and being like back in my home where I'm from and having Mukjam be there, I think one of the hurdles that I was facing, I guess would just be like self-acceptance. A lot of it was self-acceptance, but also being accepted by my peers as like I'm a mixed race person who's white presenting or white passing. Yes, white passing. Mm-hmm. So like that was like my issue was being like accepted by other people, even if I grew up with them being me being told that I was just white, even though I know that's not my truth. And then going down south and being told that I was just like an Indian, even though that's not my truth either. I think a lot of my hurdles had to do with identity, and Mukjam really helped me put that into perspective because I could verbalize it in my art.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, that's super interesting. And I guess stemming a little bit, actually backpedaling a bit of what you said before about like creating connections like within the Mukjam program and like the relationships, right? Like, because you're essentially, there's an artist that's sharing their knowledge and sharing their skills, but it's like, it's not just a one-way street, right? Like there's obviously things that the youth are also teaching the artists, and a lot of like the approach essentially for that we're hoping is to like decentralizing the classroom, where it's just a learning experience for everyone that's there. But you know, being someone that's like actually experienced like a decentralized classroom and like going through that whole journey, like can you tell us like some of this, like the tools or skills that you kind of use in your daily life and also in your artist practice today, based on some of those experiences that you had in the classroom?
One would be to not stab myself when holding sharp objects. That would be a very good lesson that Mukjam has taught me.
Yeah.
I think in my day-to-day life, it's more like relationships, like how I built relationships with not just my peers, but with my art, with my teachers and the artists in residence. Like I think one of the biggest things they gave me was like how to communicate my needs, because in Mukjam, if something isn't working for you, you have to tell them. You have to like give feedback, which is our favorite word in Mukjam. In Empath is feedback. And with like, but it's also like it has to like being in Mukjam has fostered that instinct where it's like you have to be willing to say what's up, what you need, what you want. And I really appreciated that about the classroom, because even just in the classroom, I learned how to talk about those things, or how to ask about those things, or like to ask and demand my space and what I need. Is that weird? Did I answer the question?
No, it definitely, like, I feel any answer that you give, Angel, is definitely, it's part of the knowledge sharing. You know, I'm trying to better understand like what it is it that we're doing here, you know, and like through relationships and through engagement, it's like offering each other space to really talk about things, and understanding each other and learning how to communicate, because we're all like from different we're all walking these different journeys, and so it's really about listening and understanding, and then responding out of respect, and kind of trying to figure out different ways to contribute to that conversation, and that like other people's journeys as well as our own. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And like, it actually even brings me into the next step of your journey, because I mean, thinking back to a lot of those barriers that you may have experienced in high school, then graduating high school, then it presents a whole other set of like barriers, you know what I mean, that are there, that may not necessarily be understood, right? Like going from the reserve in Mysticity, you graduated, and then you went to, I believe it was Champlain College in Sherbrooke, right? In the Eastern Townships. Talk to us a little bit about that transition and what that was like for you.
I loved college. I really loved being in college, but there was also like a culture shock. I noticed it within myself, but I like also within like fellow Indigenous youth that I worked with, or not worked with, but like were my peers. Because when you come from a reserve, when you come from like a small populated area, and there are just like different cultural norms, like things that I saw in the reserve I would never see in Sherbrooke, you know, and things that are normal to me because they're just things that I grew up with, were not normal going there. So what was my struggle was finding the balance between like who I am outside of my community and who I am wherever the heck I am, really. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like where's that balance of who you have to be as an indigenous person who like survives on reserves, not survives, but like it's a different reality. It's a very different reality. And when you leave your reserve, especially for the first time, when you're asked to like, this is your new life, it's a scary thing because it's not what you're used to. It's not what you're, and of course that's a good thing and a bad thing because like, first off, you're in a like strange situation you haven't been in before. But either way, I appreciated it. I appreciated, I guess the culture shock I kind of appreciated because it made me realize that there are other ways to live, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, but you also have that innate learning about you, like that learning interest. You see like the challenges as like they're challenges, they're barriers, but you also have a bit of a learning mentality. So it's like, how can I how can I figure this situation out? And I remember at that time where you were kind of like talking, like going through all of those motions, we reached out to you. I think I reached out to you or something, and we had like a possible position at Empath. I think it was just like a position, like what was it, administrative assistant or something like that in the office. And it just came at such a perfect timing where you were able to, because there was some sort of, you're transitioning between either like continuing post-secondary or being unsure about maybe doing a small business. And like all of those conversations were kind of come up. And then you ended up actually working at the office, which allowed us to kind of like have some conversations, me and you, to talk about your personal aspirations as a musician, and I'm like thinking about all the things that you want. I know that you take quite a lot on terms of like your artistry. You put a lot on your weight on your shoulders, where it's like the responsibility of being an Indigenous person in today's like climate. Oh, there's my cat. Hold on, I'm just gonna put him away just for a second. Stay, bro. Stay down. Yeah, and then being able to like engage with you and work with you on like your first musical project, right? Original musical piece where it's literally you that's calling the shots, right? And learning like, the things of what it takes to be a musician, right? So talk to the audience a bit about how that journey's been for you.
I would like to quote the N'we Jinan song, New Generation, specifically David's line, when he says, I'll hold my hand out. You can take it if you want it. You can choose the path of an artist. It's funny because when David's talking about how, like, when I left college and decided to work with Empath, that was me choosing the path of an artist. And I think that's really, like, I don't know, that's conducive to what we're about to talk about. Can you remind me the question again, David?
Well, the question is just about like, what was the question, I think I did an off-scripted question, okay. But it was just talking about like the process of like learning how to like go, like do your first album, do your first project, working with the producer, like a lot of that little bit of like that learning that happened.
Okay. Well, essentially what happened was I had songs that I'd written, and I got to work with an amazing individual named Joey Langwa, and we sat down and worked through all the songs and like wrote them and rewrote them and like picked them apart and then put them back together. And that was like the first few days of our sessions, and that was really amazing. I really like co-writing with people because it forces collaboration. Like two brains that have to make one thing. I like that. And then of course, there was deciding what the melody was and how that was gonna go. But what was really wonderful was the fact that like in this creation of this project, I got to work with like not just my producer, but like multiple people. Like I got to record at the RAC here in Montreal, Recording Arts Canada. I got to meet like a bunch of really dope individuals whose whole life essentially is like dedicated to creating music. I got to work with Milan Andre to create one of my favorite songs that I've ever created, which is called Savage. And he just like the same thing. We just like, I came in with lyrics and then we like picked it apart, put it back together, and then created a monster. And I'm really happy to like be able to do these things with these people, specifically because not only can I bring my vision to life, but I can have their voices help kind of like shift and shape that. And I think that's wonderful. Of course, it's like we should be like, yes, I want to call the shots, and this is everything that's mine. But also, it's like not everything can be yours.
Mm-hmm.
you know, unless of
That's
course
it.
I was a producer and or songwriter and like a musician that like played instruments and all that. But I'm not all those things yet.
That's it. But you're an amazing collaborator, and like seeing a lot of the fruits of that labor, and seeing like your first kind of like solo track, the first single off of your album Loves Up the River, the kind of traction that it got. So I'm going to share just like a few things here. You had the song actually was picked up by the Indigenous Music Countdown. Shout out to everyone from the NCI FM radio station out in Winnipeg. And it slowly climbed the charts, right? And got into the top 10. Your first single ever getting that kind of recognition, which I'm pretty sure, I don't know what you imagined in terms of that, but that's like a, you know what I mean? So there's that. And then also this one, which was a completely unexpected turn of events, getting the front cover of The Nation with this tagline, a journey of self-acceptance. And for the listeners and viewers at home, The Nation magazine is it's a Cree run and Cree, it's circulated in the Cree Nation and in Montreal, Val-d'Or, like certain areas where the people, the Iwishchi roam and are like have businesses. And so it was super incredible to see you on the front cover. But also these kind of like glimpses of success also present maybe sometimes an illusion of like, you know, oh, Angel made it to the top 10. They're good now. Oh, they're the front cover of The Nation. I always knew that they would become a huge sensation, right? But a lot of that now you're on the opposite end of this now, seeing it for what it actually is. Talk to us, maybe like this will be kind of like talk to us about some of those like kind of like where do you see yourself in terms of your journey right now, getting to this point, and like what is ahead for you?
I think I feel like I don't give myself enough credit for the things that I've accomplished, not just by myself, but like with my bandmate. I'm also a part of a band called Simple Human Tribe, where like my bandmate Kim Wapetcha McDougall and I, we've played shows for years, like across Canada, which was really, really cool. But as like a solo artist, I'm only really just starting out, and sure, like I got the Nation, which was really cool. It's actually a dream come true. Like that was wonderful. And the fact that my song was on Indigenous Music Countdown was like not even something that I ever thought would happen. But it really is an illusion of success, because I live in like I feel like I've come very far from where I started out. Like especially like now I live in an apartment in Montreal, which has been a dream of mine for a very long time. But that's not necessarily because of like musical success. That's just because I finally figured out how to pay my own bills. I don't really know what to say to that. Well, that's all I got, really.
No, but I mean, you just answered it in the question. Like, it's almost like the success are all those things, like the journey to get to where you are today, to acknowledge all the work that it took, to understand how to pay your bills, like, you know, somewhat so with some of this, like the money that's coming in, learning about a bit about money management, but then it's just also understanding how much work it takes to get to this point, and that you got to keep going. You know what I mean? You can't stop on that journey, but
the work is continuous.
No, that's it, you know? So I do appreciate you sharing all of this stuff. Like, I mean, like, congratulations to everything that's happened, Angel. I've just been so privileged and honored to like basically be on like parts of this journey with you, but also like watching the journey and watching things unfold, and just like feel super like honored and like grateful that I get to be in this position. But also at the same time, acknowledge and just want to thank you for your friendship and all the good times that we've had too, you know? Hey. Yes, and so kind of like leading us out, because we do have Spin El Poeta that's waiting in the backstage here. I know he's hungry to get on the show and talk his truth as well, but also to connect it to Spin, because Spin is a spoken word artist. But I do want to ask this last question to you, Angel, that we ask all of our youth that come onto the show, and that question is, what message or teaching of your ancestors do you continue to pass on?
This ties in perfectly with the spoken word piece I've chosen for today. So this spoken word piece is called One, and I wrote it this morning. Yes.
Oh, all right.
I want to be adored, not by millions behind screens, but by one love that says things like, dear, you're wrapped up in a softness and blessed by kindness and voice. A being that tells me when I'm being selfish, screams bigger picture when I'm caught up in details, but holds my hand to smell tamarack and pine trees. Want to peel the bark off Oshqui with me. Birch. One to share moose meat with, one to share chants my auntie gave me. one to build foundation, foster love in future generations, one to break cycles and create new ones, one to understand resistance and believe in revolution. N'we Jinan Records. I want to tell this one I love them. I want to share the songs that molded me and discover new ones they have to show me. In a kitchen we built, sharing food with a family we built too. One to grow old with, one to share legends, new nagawi gabadmit, ones my mother gave me. One to pray with using medicines, one to share nabmatsyun, one to share my life. I know the path is not easy. My responsibility is to become who they need me to be and who I need to be for myself, to love one and to be loved by one. Yeah.
Jeez. Fire. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. Breaking cycles to create new ones. I love it, Angel. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing some of your truth with us and just being an awesome human being, you know. And we're definitely going to drop some links here. You can check out Angel's music, you know, get connected to their journey, and wish you all the best, Angel. We'll obviously be in touch soon. So we'll talk, all right?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, everyone. So that was Angel Baribeau. Currently residing, living out of Montreal, originally from the Cree Nation of Mysticity. Super excited to be able to connect Angel's work also with the next guest, our artist Spin El Poeta, who's an incredible spoken word slam poet, does so much phenomenal work. So I'm really excited to be able to unpack some of the stuff that he does in person. I think I'm gonna. How should I start this? Should I show a video of the man? I think I'd like to show a video of the man to kind of get us connected in here, and get us in the mood and into the spirit. So here we go. Here's a little excerpt of Spin El Poeta at the Toronto Poetry Slam Finals in 2017, round 1.
In loving memory of Kojo Mensah, all the young kings that we've lost in the city, the gun violence, and those stuck in the judicial system. To all of my boys in the hood, now that I work with and for you in the hood, I need to explain some things about the work that I do in the hood, because one too many of you is facing criminal charges, and I know that poverty got some of you living on minimal margins, but I cannot spend my work week fighting off these charges, visiting you in detention centers from the Roy, much less to Kingston or Maplehurst. So with that said, I need you to know that I talk to the cops, because sometimes in the hood, somebody you trust has to. But I didn't write this poem to preach at the thugs. At the end of the day, I don't know what you gotta pass through, but I ask you, what about the dumb shit that some of you young cats do? I ask you, why you pistol whipping pizza delivery boys that pass through the hood? Why you let the liquor and weed trash you in the hood? Catch you in the hood with quick money scams, got you flashing in more fashion than honey jam. And yes, I got a passion for fighting the system. Got much compassion for the hard rocks that don't want to listen. Missing the point of these bars that I spit, because maybe your father was missing from the time you sucked on your mama's tits. So now, you practice your mean mug in front of the mirror. You cannot accept that a real man does cry. So you've seen these cartoon thugs on TV and started to mirror their actions. And some of y'all just tired of being poor and the guns in the hood make crime a fatal attraction. So here I am taking action, praying for bail once more, but you have nothing but failed to comply on your record, so the judge is closing the door before I even utter a word. I said it before, breaching probation will eventually slam you on the floor, so don't do it. If you ain't trying to go to jail and you're one of the few that was granted bail, my dude, memorize your motherfucking bail order, because the hard time you do each time you get booked for fail to comply will only get harder. That's why I beg my youth to grind smarter. I can't knock they hustle unless I put money in their pockets, so I have to barter with my fire starters off stage and with the words of this poem to try to stop those criminal convictions from flowing into their records, not on some goody two-shoe shit, but because when the police pull you out on the streets, some are ready, willing, and able to add points to your score. And it ain't no full court basketball game I'm talking about. It's an I'm unemployed and I can't afford to pay child support pain I'm talking about. It's an I've been out of school for so long I forgot how to fucking read or write shame I'm talking about. It's an I want to quit the drug game but got nothing else mind frame I'm talking about. And I just want to see you moving with clout far beyond the confines of your block or your hood. I want to see you traveling to other countries, and most importantly, I want to see you recover from the absence of a wordless father that still haunts me.
Jeez, Pure fire, man. Unbelievable. So excited to have Spin El Poeta on the show. Spin El Poeta is a poet, arts educator, workshop facilitator, revolutionary and youth advocate, keeper of the sacred Shako calendar of the Cosmovision Maya, Toronto Poetry Slam Grand Champ 2015, the CFSW National Slam Poetry Champion 2017. Spin was born in Guatemala in the midst of a brutal 36-year war, politicized by the experience of becoming a refugee the day after his 11th birthday. Raised with excellence by his mother, Spin embarked on a journey to vindicate their suffering and learn his history and that of the country where his innocence was stolen by U.S. foreign policies. He's been working with our organization for 1 year, but we're so happy to have him aboard and on the show today. Everybody give it up for Spin El Poeta.
Yes, family. How you doing, man?
Jeez, bro, man. It's like long overdue, but I'm just super excited to have you on the show today to talk your truth, bro, and get into some stuff. How are you doing today, and where are we catching you, man?
I'm blessed and highly favored, man. I'm in the city colonially known as Toronto, Haudenosaunee, Mississauga Credit, Chippewa. It's Maya is Cholkich, the pronunciation of the calendar.
Cholkich.
Yeah, that's Maya Quiche language, as my elder taught me. So but I'm here, man. I had the blessing to be up in Max-2 Kujuatapik for an overextended period of time. If I was finally able to get back to the city here, man. So I can't thank y'all enough for that experience.
That's it. That's incredible. So so Spin was referring to Wamextu, the Cree Nation, for the Mukjam Arts Program. You were there, essentially you were there when COVID broke out, and then you opted to stay, and you were there for a very extended period of time. I think what it was like a month and a half, 2 months, bro. I don't even know, man. Like, I didn't even know you were back in Toronto or if you were still there. Like, it's crazy, man.
When I had opted to stay, I thought it was gonna be like just 2 more weeks, you know, or like to finish the residency. But then things just got
Oh wait, did he just cut out? Oh, I think Spin may have just cut out just by accident. Hopefully he'll be able to come back online. That's actually never happened in the history of the show. That's wild. Hopefully Spin will come. We'll get back on here shortly. Oh, there he is. He's right here. Hold on. Boom. There you are.
Yeah.
Back at it, man.
Then it just got out of hand and then ended up there. But I'm back now, so it's good.
That's beautiful, man. Well, thank you for joining us today, man. Definitely appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about about who you are, man, and how you got to where you are today as succinctly as you possibly can. I know it's a very comprehensive, intense story, but yeah.
I think for the context of the video you shared, I'm a former at-risk youth. I hate those labels, but I went through a lot of issues. I was a terrible son to my mother, got kicked out of the house. I was a refugee from Guatemala, land of the feathered serpent bird. We had to leave the day after my 11th birthday, and I was raised by a single mother. So, a lot of trials and tribulations I had to go through. Poetry, spoken word, helped guide me out of it and just become a better person and live in a spirit of excellence.
And so, my question to you is because obviously this has birthed so much of your work, right? Like poetry and like being able to internalize and then externalize all of these thoughts, but it's also created like so many different pathways for you and for other people that you've connected with on the journey. But what was that like initial connection to poetry? And let's talk a little about that.
I'll keep it 1,000, man. And for all the youth that are listening, I was just trying to rap and I couldn't land the beat.
Wow.
I couldn't land the beat to save my life, and then I just kept writing just a cappella verses. I didn't know what I was doing. And I went to Jamaica on an exchange program, and prior to that I wrote this poem called Guatemalan Refugee. It's an autobiographical poem, and I had shared it with these staff at Canada World Youth, where I was doing an internship. It was all women, and a lot of them were single mothers, and I was crediting my mom for raising me as a single mother. And I left it on their desks on a Friday, and then I took like the Monday and Tuesday off because I was so nervous about what they were gonna say. That was my first time sharing my art for all the youth that are watching and haven't really got out there yet to share it. And I'm so thankful that they actually showed me love. And when I did go back to the office, they were all crying and hugging me, and they printed the poem in their newsletter, and it got translated into Spanish and French. And I knew I was sitting on a gift at that time.
That's beautiful, man. Well, shout out to that, man. It's like it's definitely like it's expanded into so many different avenues for yourself, and like obviously you even growing as a poet as well, growing as a writer, as a facilitator, ultimately leading into like your current like I guess it's entrepreneurial pursuit, but it's not. It's more of like a spiritual like pursuit as well with One Mic Educators. That's where we first connected in one way or another. Talking like I actually have a picture here of it of a lot of your work as an arts facilitator, and I remember just like you just hitting us up on Instagram, being like shout out to us. But that's what like got us connected to like your work initially, and this was some of the work that you did out in Bella Bella. Shout out to like Ramona and like those incredible youth, man. Like I know that this is probably such a surreal experience, but
man.
And maybe you can connect tell us a little bit about One Mic Educators, the overall vision of it, and then like the kind of work that it's done, like the kind of transformation that you've seen from it.
Yeah, for sure. So I founded One Mic Educators as a business. I wanted to make profit for myself and our people. Everybody's doing nonprofits. I wanted to make a profit. So it's a arts education enterprise dedicating to uplift the minds and voices of racialized youth because they're gifted. Tagline is "Our voices matter." And we've done some amazing work. Our main focus of the business is building immigrant Indigenous friendship. We were blessed to have a Mohawk elder out of Six Nations. She's now moved to Akwesasne, but we made a lot of visits while she was in Six Nations. We got some funding from the Canadian Network of Arts and Learning and Canadian Heritage to put together an immigrant Indigenous friendship video. And then through my work, I was able to get some funding through the League of Canadian Poets, which will soon be named the League of Canadian First Nations, Métis, and Inuit Poets, to go out to Bella Bella, the Heiltsuk territory, to engage the youth. And I was funded through the league, and then I came back a second time. And in between those two visits, you all had been there with N'we Jinan. And I was just blown away with the level of artistry and how it had increased and impacted from 3 or 4 days while you were there. And Ramona just insisted that I applied for Empath. And, I was kind of hesitant because I've worked very carefully to build my relationships and family ties in Indigenous territories. And I was like, who's this organization? What are they doing? But when I saw what the babies did out in Bella Bella, like the capacity of their writing, and then I saw the Fire Makers video. Ramona showed me the Fire Makers video. I went straight on the computer to start filling out my application. I really love what you guys do, and I feel like our values and our principles are aligned that way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And getting a little bit more like, and I appreciate all that for sure. A lot of the work that like, a lot of our artists that we've done working with these incredible youth, like we know that young people have so much potential, right? But setting up the scenario for allow them to understand what that potential could actually look like seems to be very in line with the kind of work that you're doing at One Mic Educators. And so like, but you also working with incarcerated youth, like we're talking about like disenfranchised youth, but like you're also working with youth like that are like in the criminal justice system, you know what I mean? Marginalized youth, like in the greater Toronto area. And so like my question, because I don't often get a chance to speak to like, artists that are working in that kind of capacity. What kind of significance does poetry play for like, a youth that's been incarcerated? Like what kind of like conversations are around that, and what kind of pathways are you like, does it offer?
You got to keep in mind, like Tupac, may he rest in peace, was incarcerated. Nipsey Hussle, been in and out of jail. He has a track called County Jail. So a key part of the work outside of building immigrant Indigenous friendships and within it is also to provide an outlet for youth who have had unwanted contact with the legal system, been in problem with the law. And so we create opportunities where youth can get their community service hours. When our elder was in Six Nations, we sent youth out there to help build a sweat lodge. We had a sister that had an earth ship, a Mohawk sister that had an earth ship. So we went out and helped her with that. And then I would fill out the letters for the youth to their lawyers to get them decriminalized, basically. So through the work, also I organized La Raza. It's a monthly open mic spoken word series designed to bring together Indigenous, Latin American, and African diaspora artists and create safe spaces to feature us from our different realities. And it's an intentional BIPOC space as well, as far as the open mic. And so I've had youth just come out and volunteer and set up We did a consultation for the Toronto Police Services to get the reality of what people and the youth are feeling. And we're all about advocacy, like to our core, and just doing whatever we can to support, you know, and our Instagram handle, onemic.educators, you'll see all our work, our support of fundraisers, our support of Black Lives Matter, our support for systemic change, you know, in every aspect of life. So that's really what we're about. And I think that there's a certain rawness that comes with writing poetry. You don't even need a beat. You just need your heart. You just need to write what's in your heart. You know, I'm not on the bougie side of like literary devices or any of that. I just write what's in my heart, and then I absorb my environment, and then I produce the work. And a lot of youth gravitate to that, man, especially youth that have been in conflict with the law. So that poem that you played, I was invited to a candlelight vigil where a young man had been murdered, and it's an incident of you know, just the violence that's ongoing in the city of Toronto. And I performed that poem at the candlelight vigil. And you know, it's not any person can walk into a hood and drop a poem like that and have it well received.
Yeah.
And the poem came from the direct lived experience of engaging these youth. At any moment in time, I'm connected with several youth that are caught up in the gun violence in the city or caught up with the judicial system, and doing my best to support them out of it.
Yeah. And it's like, even like that poem too, because at first I was going to play it and then cut it halfway through, but it's the kind of poem that you actually have to listen to the whole thing to truly understand the conversation. And that for me is like also like to understand what listening actually looks like, because like when people like listen to, like, you know, when you kind of like introed with a lot of the things that you were saying, it's like, if I was to cut it off like right there at that conversation, it's going to feed a stereotype. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously a lot deeper than that. And it's like, it's important to have these conversations, but to really listen and engage and understand what's actually being said and what's actually happening in the lives of these young people, right? And I feel like there was a part in that particular piece that I'd love to like just unpack a little bit to lead into like a little bit of this conversation, was where you were saying each time you get booked for a fail to comply will only get harder. That's why I beg my youth to grind smarter. I can't knock their hustle unless I put money in their pocket, so I have to barter while my fire starter is off stage and with the words of this poem. So that little part for me like got me going, because I'm like, a lot of like the line of work that we're doing as an organization, it's like you can't knock the hustle of like, you can't knock what people are going through, their lived experience. But if you're gonna be in that line of work, right, it's like what kind of tools are you offering? I guess that's what I got from what you said, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what you meant. So talk to us a little bit about your barter system, bro, of when you're working with these kids, you know what I mean, that are looking at you like, okay, like I could go out and make like $1,000 today selling drugs. But you're telling me that there's something else, right? So talk to me about that a bit.
So it's borrowing from Jay-Z line, "Can't knock the hustle," obviously on the song, right? And then Common also used it and said, "But I've seen street dreams deferred." So for me was I can't knock their hustle unless I put money in their pockets. So I have to barter with my fire starters off stage and with the words of this poem to try to stop these criminal convictions from flowing into their records. So essentially, it's like I can't come here and preach at them. A lot of people preach at them, and they're like, "Yo, you don't know my life. You don't know what I've been through. You ain't doing nothing for me. I don't want to hear this right now." So my way of bartering, getting money in their pocket in a legal way. So I've paid youth to come out to my show to just drop a poem. You know, these are like hardcore dudes. Like if you see their videos, and I'll be like, "Yo, that dude dropped a poem at my show." You'll be like, "What?" And so. But I know they have this genius inside of them. And because of the lifestyle they've chosen or been forced into, a lot of people kind of write them off. And I see the kings and queens within them. You know, that's really my pathway. So the bartering system really boils down to like, let's make money this way. Or, okay, you need community hours? Okay, we'll do it this way. I'll accommodate. I'll meet you halfway. I've driven to youth's house to pick them up. When I got these youth to go out to the territory, to Indigenous territory, to do volunteer work, I needed to facilitate that for them. And to other people, that would be like, "Oh, that's a Hug a Thug program," or "You're being too nice." But the reality is that it's transformative. And particularly the connection on Indigenous land has really resonated with the youth, where they actually want to come back after their hours are done. Like when I was helping out my sister with the Earthship, one of the youth was like, "Yo, if you ever need me, let me know." I'm like, "Yeah, you got the hours done. We're good that way." He's like, "Nah, I don't care, man. I really liked it out there." So there's a sense of like the free air that you breathe, you know, an indigenous territory and a nation that's tens of thousands of years older than Canada. And so there's a connection. So the bartering system for me really boils down to like meeting them halfway. And if I am going to preach at them, because I will preach at them, just make sure I'm doing something relevant for their life, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely appreciate the honesty. I know it's kind of like it was an honest question, you know. I just wanted to like kind of go at you and see what you said, but it's beautiful, man. And that's ultimately that's all that we could really do is like artists that are working in community with youth, you know what I mean? Indigenous youth specifically, a lot of our programming is really based off of like, you know, allowing young people to see the potential of what their future could look like. You know what I mean? Like a lot of young people, they have all these skills and they have that talent, they have that inner voice, but it's like, how can I use my voice to like see my future? You know what I mean? And I know that's a lot of the work that we're trying to do. It's kind of like a bit of a barter system because it's almost like art. How could you establish a career from art? It's obviously not like super easy, but there are ways to navigate that. But the only way you can find out is if you start, you know what I mean? And that's like my conversation a little bit with Angel was a little bit around that, where like, I guess a line that I had said in one of the N'we Jinan first volume songs was like, I said, let's create a life, choose the path of an artist. I said on one of the lines, and I guess it resonated with Angel. Angel's like, it's a question that you have to ask yourself, but it's like part of that, like, you got to make choices, you know what I mean? But some kids don't even know that there are choices. So I definitely, and I mean, the climate that you're working in though, like when it comes to kids that are like, you know, working within the criminal system, it's a bit of a different context, but I mean, we're all humans at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I think that the other critical part is also that we need to get ourselves into the spaces of power and address and make our deputations and speak to government and speak to everyone. Everyone has something to do, but not everybody can be like on the res or in the hood and at parliament or at the boardroom. And for me, that's something critical with the young people I work with. And I need to step that up, is get them comfortable in those places of power to speak their truth. So, yeah, and art is an excellent medium, man. And I have to shout out because my people can watch this on Facebook afterwards, right?
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah. So I got to shout out Caden, Joni, Emily Lynn, Sachagan, Rain. They put some beautiful poems up on the What Max 2 Instagram handle. You know, we work with them and helping them put together. And I loved all those babies I met out there, man. They're so talented. They got so much raw truth to share. And even though we only had 2 weeks, we still managed to get about a good 8 or 9 poems out. You know, my brother Caden, he performed a poem dedicated for his father at a suicide prevention conference.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love all the youths, man. I'm gonna send them the link for Facebook so they can watch it after.
Yeah, for sure. We'll actually get Alex, like communications officer here at N'we Jinan, to drop the link to the What Mex Do Mukjam Instagram page, and I believe that a lot of the work is on there. I know the piece that you're talking about with Caden is on the IGTV for the What Mex Do program. So definitely check out a lot of that incredible work. A lot of like amazing like young Cree advocacy stuff happening in there. You know what I mean? To kind of those are words that are gonna echo forever, bro. Like that's a digital footprint right there.
And my brother Posey as well, because he's into it as a check-in as well, is also into it. I love Posey with a passion, man. Posey got himself in a little bit of trouble out there, but he's learning. He's working to change his life, man. So he wrote a deck of cards poem, like a little love poem, man. It was beautiful. I love all the youth out there, man.
Shout out to Posey. And speaking about sharing, bro, you down to share a piece with us real quick before we get into the artistic challenge? Put you on the spot like that, no?
Cool? Yeah. I'll drop it. It's in the artistic challenge video as well, but I'll just drop it to lead up to it. So it's a poem I wrote filled with affirmations, which will lead into explaining the actual assignment. Where can I pick it up from? Depression paralyzed me last June, but I survived it. Went from high highs to low lows, so I started to write it. Struggled to get out of bed, so I started making it when I did. See, no matter how lonely the morning, making my bed helped me start out in control of my day before going out into this world that's so cold, so I could come home to a reminder I started in control. I got a whole new morning routine now. I am the focus. I fail better, thrive humbly, forward forever. Because even with cracks in the armor, my flame will still burn. I am blessed and highly favored, always willing to learn. I am protected. I am loved because I am love. Heartbreak deflected. I am loved because I am. My foundation is solid. Pain is on the periphery. My every thought an epiphany. Slow but steady I glide. I soar above obstacles. Meditation comes naturally. I have arrived. A beautiful masterpiece, self-sculpted from my own tribulations I am. Living in some serious times, rough. Egyptian psalms, bodies and piles, blood rivers resemble Niles. Trippy red's tough. Mayan cosmovision, Kemetic teachings, all reaching into the confines of my own soul to heal me. I ain't gotta lie to kick it. I'm good with the real me. And my writing has to be tough. I conquer depressions constantly because I am enough.
Cheese! Pure
Yeah.
fire, man. Yo, we got Vanessa Stevens chiming in real quick there. Hey, one of my favorites, of course, man. We got some love coming in here from different people, but we definitely appreciate a quick piece there, man. And that actually does bring us into our challenge. But just before we do that, I mean, you were shouting out this particular platform that you're showcasing, La Raza Spoken Word, which is like you were doing this for pretty consistently. I don't know when your next event is, but is there any place that people can check this out? Like, does it exist?
Yeah, for sure. So we got a page, One Mic Educators page on Facebook, and we got One Mic Educators on Instagram. So we're in development right now. The next show we're going to be dedicating to young Somali women that came out with stories of sexual abuse and assault, calling out the perpetrators. And so I want to support one of the sisters that's coordinating the initiative and raise some funding towards their organization to provide mental health supports. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have one also celebrating Jamaica Day. So it's going to be dedicated to Jamaican artists. So we're going to have these spaces, but it's open for everyone to share. And I would love for like the Indigenous artists that are tuned in to join us on one of those shows and just participate. It's so much intercultural learning. That particular flyer you had up, we had a Cree sister out from Saskatoon ways, Treaty 5 territory, and Lady Vanessa, who's Colombian, also mestiza like myself, of Indigenous and colonial heritage. And it's just a really beautiful gathering space, and I just wanted to share in closing the series. As a Latin American, our culture is richly influenced by the African diaspora and by the indigenous people who were the original inhabitants of the land, in Abya Yala. And there's a lot of internalized racism in my community. And so I needed to develop this series with the intent to bring us all together, learn from one another, and recognize one another. And we've had some beautiful things that have happened through the series. So it's a very welcoming space for our people.
That's super awesome. Definitely encourage everyone to check that out in the One Mic Educators Facebook or Instagram. We're dropping links right now. Spin, it's always a pleasure to just chit chat with you. I know me and you, we don't really get to chat enough because but whenever we do, it's always enlightening. It's always like, it's always fun, but it's always super engaging. And yeah, man, I'm just excited to be able to do some more work together, do some more advocacy work as well to really uplift the voices, but go beyond that, man. You know what I mean? Change, like we're really looking at systems change, our organization. How can we start like actually having bigger like conversations at the table? You know what I mean? It's not just about like expression, but it's about like actually changing the system as you're moving along. And those things are very, as we see with everything that's happening right now, these are like viable scenarios as long as the approach is also constructive, and it's real. So as long as what you're bringing to the table is real, honest, and it's constructive, it can make a difference and you can have those conversations. So we appreciate everything that you bring to the table, Spin, with all your work. So I guess at this point, bro, it's it comes down to the artistic challenge, man. Are you ready?
Yeah, for sure.
You ready to get into that?
Wait,
do we have some comments? Oh no comments right now. But yeah,
we had them earlier, man. Shout out to the people that show love. So the challenge, artistic challenge, is real simple, man. I got a video that explains some of the processes I went through to create my affirmation poem, which you'll see. And because we got Indigenous youth from across Turtle Island tuned in, we want to honor your language and your heritage. And so you noticed in my poem, I made a lot of I am statements. I am blessed and highly favored, always willing to learn. I am protected. I am loved. So what I want to ask y'all to do to put a twist on the video you're going to see is add some words in your language. So when you say I am, add those, end the statement with words in your language. And really what the poem is and what the purpose of this is for you to create good medicines for yourself. you'll see it explained in the video. So the only twist is add your own language to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So essentially it's doing a poem, right? Doing a poem with affirmations, I am, but then, you know, line by line, but then also to end with very, like, you know, things in within your language kind of thing, right? Especially if you are a communicator and able to communicate in your language that's specific to your indigenous background, definitely incorporate those things. But we also have this particular we have our YouTube tutorial page, which essentially has all of our artists, including Spin here. You know, this is a digital resource that we developed over COVID social distancing with all of the artists that work with our organizations and that essentially share their process and break down certain workshops. And so the challenge of the week this week is connected to Spin's tutorial here on affirmation poems. And we're going to drop that link as well so you can connect and understand the full process of an affirmation poem. Hear a little bit about Spin's work as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You nailed it.
That's it. So we're going to drop that into the link. And yeah, man, that should be good for the challenge. We're going to make sure and we're going to make sure to drop that on our Facebook and our Instagram page. We're also going to Yes. Okay, I'm gonna stop that right now. Yeah, perfect. That's it though. And so Spin, it's been great speaking to you. I didn't ask you that last question that we ask all of our artists, and so we can definitely this will be the last question that I ask you before we call it a day. But the last question will be, what message or teaching of the youth do you carry with you?
I feel my message that I carry is to have patience and never give up on them. You know, set your boundaries and protect yourself, but also have patience and don't give up on them.
Perfect, man. So Spin, thank you so much for coming on the show today, sharing your truths, sharing some of your wisdom and a little insight into like your work and all you do with One Mic Educators. And it's just a pleasure, bro.
Same, man.
Yeah, man. So let's keep in touch, my bro. And we'll catch you soon, eh?
For sure, brother. Much love, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right, everyone. So that was Spin El Poeta. Make sure you check him out on the socials, especially on Instagram. I know Instagram's really his jam, so definitely he's always updating on the One Mic Educators Instagram, but he has his own Instagram as well. So just make sure you follow his journey as well as Angel's journey. You know, who came on the show a little earlier talking about their journey. We're just super excited to be able to have this sharing space here on the Windcarriers show, bringing this to you every single week. Let me just see here. And yeah, and definitely check out Spin on his Instagram, Spin El Poeta. We'll drop that as well in the links there. So thank you to everyone that watched the show. This is Windcarriers Challenge Show Week 7. To end the show today, we're going to bring it back to our N'we Jinan youth song featured on our Volume 8 track, Mushwa Wasich, courtesy of the Innu youth out in Natuashish, Newfoundland, Labrador. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today, and we'll see you all next week.
Do you see it's hard when there's nothing to do? People drown in the dark, so I'm running to you.
Let's be who we are as we struggle with truth. Connect with the land and overcome as
This life is hard, Tisha guys. Let's see the stars.
Natuashish, we live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing Hear our voices, hear the sound. We love our land.
No more fighting, no more drinking. There's people dying, there's people missing, there's people crying. Use our tradition. Inutuhon, the medicine is given.
I'm proud to be Inu, I'll show you brave in action. So many distractions, I won't fade to blackness. My goal in life is that I'll grow and fight for my dreams. I'll hold them tight.
I'm the man, the N'we. This life is hard. Teach you guys the way you. Let's see the stars.
Not to wash it, we live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing Inunika. Hear our voices, hear the sound. We love our land, Mshwe meneni hatao, natan shionot. Mshwe sutita magje munapanas.
We lost so many people, that's why we numb the pain. But the future is bright and there will come a day. So much racism, I want to run away. But this is my home, my land, I love this place. On this peaceful land, we will hunt for food. If you put your mind to it, there is tons to do. Trust the youth, are proud to be Inu. We love this land, we sing loud cause we need you.
The N'we. This life is hard. Teach you guys the way you. Let's see the stars.
Not to wash it, we live on this beautiful land where united we stand. Oh, we are strong and we are proud.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're the future singing Inunika. Hear our voices, hear the sound. We don't watch it, we love